This video on FPL TV is very proudly sponsored by ONEFOOTBALL. With a rating of 4.8 out of 5 from now over 100,000 reviews on the App Store, ONEFOOTBALL truly is the biggest and best app for football news, scores and stats from hundreds of leagues all over the world. As for FPL, you can choose to follow every team in the Premier League on ONEFOOTBALL and then get live updates from all the goals and assists every game week. Download it now completely free using the link in the description box below. Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. Before checking out my team for Friday's Game Week 9 deadline, let's see how the side performed in the previous game week. Before the game week started, we were given confirmation from Thomas Tuchel that Rudiger would in fact miss the game week through injury, and although that was disappointing, it was nice to at least have that 100% cleared up before the deadline. Fortunately, I was able to bring Christensen in off my bench anyway, and Chelsea managed to scrape a clean sheet against Brentford despite an onslaught of goal attempts from the Bees. Frustratingly, Rudiger wasn't the only player to miss out for me last week, with my squad being seriously hit with rotation after the international break. All three of Rafinha, Diaz and Jimenez missed out, with the latter two getting subbed on for 1-pointers late into their games. On the positive side, Rafinha was left out of the squad completely, and therefore in came Livramento for me as an automatic sub, with his clean sheet off my bench one of the very few positives of the game week. The majority of my points came from defence last week, with Cancelo and Man City keeping an expected clean sheet at home to Burnley. Both of Man City and Chelsea kept clean sheets last week, so it's really a shame I only had 2 clean sheets to show for it, despite having 4 of their defenders in my squad. Cancelo came very close to scoring in that fixture, forcing a fine save from Nick Pope. So close to a much needed 15-pointer there. Elsewhere, there was just one other player to return for me, and no prizes for guessing who, with once again the ever-present pure FPL legend Mo Salah doing the business. The Egyptian King scored another goal of the season contender against Watford, now scoring in 7 of the 8 game weeks so far, not to mention another brace in midweek against Atletico Madrid. The man is simply on fire at the moment. Once again, despite Salah racking up the points, even as my captain, he's so heavily owned and captained in the game in general that his points were pretty redundant last week, with my rank not budging an inch even after getting 26 points in the early kickoff. The big problem over the last 2 game weeks is that since wildcarding, Mo Salah is the only player to actually score a goal for me, with no goals elsewhere in my squad over 2 weekends of football. The most frustrating of all is perhaps Romelu Lukaku, who's now failed to score for a 6th consecutive game for Chelsea. And with my team desperate for goals, I really hope he can find form again soon, especially with the kind of fixtures that Chelsea have coming up. With another underwhelming game week and yet another red arrow in my sights, I did have one ray of hope on Monday night with my slight differential Saka still to play. And in that game, Saka got booked, injured and subbed at half time for a 0-pointer. Pain. That really encapsulated all the frustration of the last few weeks. So for game week 8, my team finished with a score of 54, and for 8 consecutive game weeks now, it was a tally greater than the average score, with that being 49. At the beginning of the season, if someone told me I'd score above average in all the first opening 8 game weeks, I'd have certainly taken that. But with the FPL game now so much more popular than it used to be a few years back, I guess scoring above the average just simply isn't good enough anymore, because despite beating the average every week, I'm consistently tumbling down the rankings. Frustratingly, it's yet another red arrow. That's 6 in 7 game weeks now since that positive start in game week 1. And the most head-scratching part of all is that once again I was actually very happy with how the side lined up. So perhaps I'm just not good at identifying the weaknesses in my squad much anymore. Let's move on to game week 9 now, see how the side currently lines up and also discuss some potential transfer moves. Also, if you do enjoy the content here at FPL TV, then be sure as always to leave a like and most importantly get subscribed. You can also hit that notification bell so you always know when a new video goes live. Well, it's not exactly been a good omen so far, but as has been the case for many game weeks, I actually think my squad looks again pretty well set up for game week 9, particularly in defence, with both Man City and Chelsea facing 2 sides struggling for goals at the moment. Brighton with just 1 goal in their last 3, and Norwich with only 2 goals throughout the entire season. 2 great chances for clean sheets there, I hope. I guess the real question here is always if all 4 of these defenders will actually play, and perhaps the Champions League games in midweek can provide a bit more information. With the Man City and Chelsea defenders prone to rotation, it's always good to have strong bench cover, and I certainly have that this week, with Livramento a great option at home to Burnley, someone I'm disappointed I can't seem to squeeze into my starting 11. Saka's injury is a bit of a question mark at the moment, and the fact Arsenal play on the Friday may make it a bit more difficult for him to return. So for now, Benrahma gets the nod ahead of the Arsenal man. To be honest, neither Benrahma or Saka are filling me with much confidence at the moment, so one of those two could be my transfer out this week, but I'll wait to hear from Arteta's press conference first before making that call. For the captaincy this game week, since wildcarding a few game weeks back, there was only ever one person in my mind to captain, and that was Lukaku at home to Norwich, which at the time seemed a certainty, an absolute no-brainer, a guaranteed captain choice. But I guess nothing is certain in FPL, and I certainly didn't think I'd now be having doubts about captaining the Belgian for this one. As mentioned earlier, Lukaku has now blanked in 4 consecutive game weeks and failed to score in 6 games in all competitions. In those 4 game weeks, Chelsea have scored 7 goals as well, incredibly with 0 involvement from Lukaku, not even with an assist, who since having Werner partner him up top looks to be really struggling with this system. It's his underlying stats that have looked very poor as well, where in the last 4 game weeks he's only managed 5 shots inside the box. Even Shane Duffy has managed more in that time. No disrespect, Duffy. What makes this all the more difficult is that recently Thomas Tuchel has said that Lukaku's played too much football of late and is perhaps a bit mentally tired, therefore hinting at a potential rest for the Belgian. That is definitely a big concern, so what I'm hoping now is to see Lukaku get that rest in the Champions League in midweek, and if he does, hopefully that'll make his start for Norwich all the more secure. For this reason, and because of the simply sensational form of Mo Salah, the Egyptian has to come back into the conversation, even more so now with his opponents United just shipping 4 goals to Leicester last time out. And I'm starting to wonder if simply captaining Salah every game week would be the sensible man's play. So this one is a classic case of form or fixture. Going against Mo Salah is certainly a big risk, because due to his form he'll once again be a hugely popular captain choice. But looking at these 2 fixtures, this really feels like a chance for me to roll the dice and try to jump up the rankings. And if I'm confident Lukaku starts this fixture, then I think I've got to hand him the armband. After all, it's a big hitter at home to Norwich. So all eyes will be on Chelsea's Champions League lineup on Wednesday night. I haven't spoken about him much in this video, but Antonio is slightly in my thinking too, simply down to his superb record against Spurs, and I can definitely see him bagging at least 1 in that London derby. So that's how my side currently lines up, but as always I'll post my final team over on Twitter shortly before the game week deadline. Although my team already looks fairly well set up this game week, I've still got 2 free transfers in the bank, and if I don't use one of them it'll go to waste. So my potential free transfer this week will likely be making a move for Brentford's budget midfielder Mbeumo. It's a transfer with the longer term in mind, with Brentford now heading into a superb run of fixtures. The Bees face Burnley, Norwich and Newcastle in 3 of the next 4 game weeks, and their fixture against Leicester this week certainly isn't bad either, with the Foxes already conceding 14 goals this season. It's either Saka or Benrahma that would make way for Mbeumo, but I'll need to wait on a fitness update on Saka before making that decision. The idea is to very soon double up on both Mbeumo and Ivan Toney for Brentford in these upcoming game weeks, who as a pair I believe can prove excellent value during this kind run of fixtures, and in general I've just been so impressed with Brentford. Toney will likely come in next game week though, as I'm not keen on selling Antonio before Tottenham or Jimenez before Leeds. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to leave a like and most importantly get subscribed. Good luck to you all for game week 9, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all very soon.